All right, we're going to work right now on creating a box and whisker plot in SPSS. Now, this basically has two components to it because we haven't really used SPSS before. So let's talk about how to load data into SPSS, how it's organized, and then second, we'll make the box and whisker plot. I'm going to use some data that is in the Blackboard. You can scroll down, you'll see a set of data, a section that says data sets. I'm going to use this AccuPlacer math data. When we take a look at it, what we see is you have some pre-test scores, some post-test scores, and groups. The basic concept here is that students took a pre and a post-test. Some of the students were comparison group students. They're labeled by 1 here. And a second group of students received an intervention. I'm going to select pre-test scores, post-test scores, and group 1. I'm going to take all of this data in with me. See the groups there. If you notice when I highlight the data, this is important for SPSS, I did not take the headers row with it. SPSS is set up differently than a traditional spreadsheet. The data has to be separate from any titles associated with the data. So I've already loaded SPSS, and my data table is here. My spreadsheet is here. I'm going to go to the first cell, and I'm going to Command V or copy paste. Okay. The data is all pasted. Okay, so column 1 is the pretest, column 2 is the post-test, column 3 is the group that the student was in. Again, notice I did not put any headers on. It is very, very important that it's just the numerical data here. If you put a header on, it's going to change it to string data, and it changes the whole relationship system the way it works. You'll notice at the bottom you have a data view and a variable view. I'm going to click on the variable view because that's going to be where I put my labels. So column 1 was the pretest, column 2 is the post-test, column 3 is the group that the student is in, students are in. I am going to label them over here. You can label on the names, but the problem with labeling on the names is you can't include any spaces. So I typically leave that alone, and then I put the label here. So we have pretest AccuPlacer math scores. And we have post-test AccuPlacer math scores, and then we have the group. Now, if we remember back to our types of data, we will say that pretest, post-test, or interval level data. The group is categorical or nominal level data. So if we have nominal data, we can actually label the nominal data, and that would happen in the value section. So pretest, we're not going to worry about the values because they're the interval level data, but for the group, we're going to do that. Click on values, and you'll see the 3 dots come up. Click on that. We're going to add value 1, and the label for that is comparison. Some people call that the control group. I think comparison is better because controls never get nothing. They always get something, so we're using that for comparison. And 2 is going to be our intervention group. Sometimes that's called the treatment group. I think language today is really more about intervention. Everything else we can leave alone as is. So we come back here. We see again the data, pre, post, group. And here it's labeled pre, post, group. Now we're ready to make the graph. We're going to go to graphs, click on graphs. And we're going to use the legacy dialog. I like that. I think it's the easiest way to do it. So we go to legacy dialogs. We're going to do the box plot. Come down to box plot. Click that. It's a simple. We're going to define it. When you define, it opens up other windows where you have to figure out what you want to put in. So let's say I'm interested in knowing, like, at the end, what does the post-test look like? So I'm going to take post-test. I'm going to move it into the variable group. And the category, and categorical data, the language is similar, it's going to be the group. And we're going to move it in. There are some options. They really don't matter for the box plot, so we're all set. We're going to hit OK, click, and there it goes. The graph gets made. And you can see it's got its title, axes are labeled, axis, post-test AccuPlacer math, group, and then you see we've got the graphs made, box and the whisker. And if you notice on the comparison group, there's a little circle here with the number 7 above it. That's an outlier. It's beyond the 1.5 times the interquartile range. So that's an outlier. If you're interested in seeing what it is, you can go back to the data. We'll switch back. We look at row 7. That person got a score of 44 right there. Row 7, that's why it was labeled 7. Sorry, post-test. It still is 44. Post-test is labeled 44, so that would be the outlier value. Come back to the graph. And the problem, I think, sometimes with seeing something like that, like an outlier, is like someone looking at it doesn't really know what that means, and it's just a distraction. So I like to get rid of it. So if you double click on the graph, it'll open up the graph dialog box. And then what you can do is you can actually click on the 7 and you can delete it. You have to, for my computer, I have to right click and then hit delete. It'll delete the 7. I'm happy with that now. It looks much better for me. I can close that dialog box. Whoops. Where'd you go? There you are. And there it is now, showing me an outlier with the value removed. If your analysis requires you to remove the outlier, then you could do that. But we're not doing any inferential analysis yet. We're just describing data. So what we're going to do, what I like to do in this case is I like to click on the box. Again, it's highlighted. I can copy, and then I can go to whatever software package I want to use to report data. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to just paste it into a Word document. And, it doesn't take the title. You can put your own title in. And as you remember, titles go on the top. Now, remember, I said, make sure you give those couple of carriage returns before you start, just so you don't run into any problems. So you do figure 1, and then title. This is comparison of post-test AccuPlacer math scores. I'll put that in italics like it's supposed to be. And that's it. So that's how we make a box and whisker plot. That's a simple box and whisker plot. I suggest you try same process for yourself and just make the exact same graph that I made. This is what it should look like when you're done.